how can I get people who have no fucking clue who I am and could really care less about me, my life, or my offer to find me from an advertisement that I paid for and then convert into money and become a customer and a lifelong client? Most people think they make six figures, they'll be happy. They're not. I give business, I teach business, but like a lot of it's mindset, a lot of it's believing in yourself, a lot of it's having the right systems to stay accountable long term. If you know what you want out of life, if you know what your goals are, your real goals, then everything you do in your day should be in pursuit of those goals, and everything else should fuck right off.
Quick note before we start, Sawyer and I had this really long, deep conversation about his Facebook ads right before this episode. And if you want to see that, it's recorded. There's a link in the description. We talk a ton about all of his Facebook ads setup and what I would do and what he's currently doing in that video. If that interests you, enjoy this episode of Hanging Out. Today's guest is Sawyer Hartman. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sawyer before we start because we just get right into it. Sawyer is a creator and a tinkerer. He's got a couple million followers on YouTube, and he's found his way to school recently. He's somebody that I can relate to because he makes a lot of things, he shoots a lot of shots, and he's good with tech and just has a natural interest in getting better and improving skills. And so we go through a lot of things. We talk about ads for a while. We kind of kick it off. He's picking my brain about ads, and we get into Tony Robbins for a while and what Sawyer really likes about the Tony Robbins community. And we also talk about our GPT setups and building apps and how that kind of works with our school groups. And it was a lot of fun. Please enjoy. Sawyer, I remember finding your video like on YouTube, with your the birth of your baby.
My son.
Dude, how is Atlas? How are things?
He's awesome, dude. He doesn't sleep through the night as great because he hangs out all day. But other than that, like other than him fucking up my schedule, he's awesome. But yeah, he definitely doesn't make working easier, but he makes it a little bit more fulfilling. That's for sure.
Has that changed your structure of work completely? Because I noticed you were making videos to the birth. And are you taking a break? Are you feeling
I took a lot of time off. I even before the birth, I took like 3 years off. Like I think I started in 2009 on YouTube. I hit 1 million in 2011. And my audience has been with me such a long time that like I don't really have to ever try and remain relevant. It's actually better if I don't, if I just come back when I have something to say. So like, that's actually, I think a lot of people don't realize it, but the way algorithms work is every day after someone follows you, the algorithm sees them as less interested in what you do. So a long-term view on creators that no one ever talks about, and it kind of infuriates me, is there's not one creator who was big 10 years ago who's still big now, who hasn't had to reinvent themselves like Justin Timberlake. So like the interesting thing is people always ask me, why don't you just make YouTube videos to have the biggest school on the internet? And it's like, well, that's not a sustainable model for me, because then not only am I screwing myself with the people who cared about me first, but once this works and it's time to scale, it's like, we can't, because my audience is finite. So when I came to school, I actually made a very cognitive choice that I wasn't going to promote on my social medias really, because the problem I was trying to solve wasn't how do I make money? I had solved that problem. The problem I was trying to solve is how can I get people who have no fucking clue who I am and could really care less about me, my life, or my offer to find me from an advertisement that I paid for and then convert into money and become a customer and a lifelong client. That was the problem I was actually optimizing for. So it was like, for me, it's like I could do $4,500 sales letters for everyone who watches my YouTube video and make a couple $1 million. But when I look at school and I look at it kind of like early YouTube, like I was the 279th person to hit 1 million subscribers. So I was there quite early. And all of my friends were the ones that hit it before me. So like when I look at school, I am hyper aware that within the next 2 years, the top 10 people on school will all be making over $1 million a month. It's a real thing. It's a real platform. It's got real legs and the business model works. What I do for my inner circle, I should be charging $1,500 for it. Minimum, even that's really cheap. And I'm giving it away for $99. Realistically, having 10,000 people in there, $1 million a month, that's very doable. Having 1,000 there, $100,000 a month, that's almost a given a year of actual work. What isn't a given is how many of those people have to know who I am. So like for me, it was really important that I could figure out how to take an advertisement and learn everything about the ad, the offer, the conversion funnel, the mechanisms, the automations. How can I take an ad, run it for $5, and have $7 come out the other end? And it is not limited to my past fame or the people who already knew me. So that's why I also like, dude, I could have advertised on YouTube and probably got great conversions. I have no interest in milking my thing. What I want to figure out is how can I find an interest group on the in the ads that's got a couple million people. How can I figure out how to get a 1.5 time return on first month from them? And then how do I go to my friends that have $100 million and get a $100,000 loan and do what your client just did last month? It will never work if I'm the bottleneck. That's why I've actually worked very hard to try and forget who I am or what I have or what leverage I have. Because I'm like, that's all great and dandy, but every day past my peak is a day further away for people for that. Now, the ads and the VSLs and the short form courses to get people up to a buying place and then mastering sales automation, you know, I have mentors in my own life. And like one of my biggest mentors is Tony Robbins. Like a lot of people have that mentor, but I give Tony a large chunk of my income for everything he could do for me. And it wasn't until I started looking at what does Tony do business model that I realized the exact same thing that I needed to do. And that's when I switched, when I realized Tony has helped 20 million people. So he could just come out with new offers for those 20 million people and make tons of money. But all of his efforts are in finding new people. He writes a book, it's to find a new audience. He does a collaboration with someone, it's to get in front of their audience. What does he do with them? Well, he gets them in, he gives them a free seminar. Then from the free seminar, he upsells them to Unleash the Power Within, which is a $400 event, in person or digital. There he upsells you to Business Mastery, which I started in, which is a $10,000 event. Then there's Life Mastery and Date with Destiny and all these other events. And then you get to the level where I am, where they're selling me Platinum Group, which is $100,000 a year to travel with Tony. And I'm looking at it going like, this is the best fucking business model ever, because when they say, do you want to be part of Platinum and travel the world with Tony 12 times a year? It's $100,000. My first thought is, where can I make an extra 100? Like, I'm not like, dude, that's crazy. I'm like, fuck yeah, I would love that opportunity. And I had to ask myself, why am I wanting to give someone $100,000 who's already helped me with everything I could possibly need? It's like, I trust the ecosystem. That's what we've got to build on school. That's the whole reason I started the free community, was if Tony didn't do the free seminars and the free interviews, I would have never found him. And I mean, you could take my revenue and I bought Tony a supercar. Like, that's just one person. I think about that. I'm like, dude, from a lifetime average value of the customer, I do not know anyone who's better than him without selling cars or houses or like watches. Like, it's nuts.
Tony is a pretty wild outlier. When did Tony like enter the picture for you on your like with your business and YouTube?
3.5 years ago.
Okay.
So I big on YouTube. Then when the views slowed down and the brand deals slowed down because of the views slowed down, my revenue slowed down. And I spent years trying to rekindle the views, right? So like, that's why I urge people away from content, is you spend years working towards a goal that you have no control over. So I was then like, okay, I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. Like, I know I still got the occasional 6-figure job from a brand, but I had no control over how frequent. So I was like, all right, I'm going to spend a year and a half figuring out everything I can about business. And I had started a company called S3 Marketing, where when I make content for my YouTube and stuff, my clients are like Hyundai, Dell, Jeep, MasterCard, Google, the big ones. So I had this idea where I could help small businesses around the country solve their social media problem without having to hire someone like me, like in a smaller way, to give them the same level of quality I gave my past clients to them. So I start the business, and I figure because my clients are huge, I should be able to get small businesses. It's a different beast. It's a much different beast. And I'm sure you've been there. I spent about 7 months in that cycle of asking myself, how do I get clients? How do I acquire clients? How do I get clients? Cold call, why won't they? How? And I saw Tony's ad for Business Mastery 2, and I had read a book from him earlier in the year. But I got on with the Business Mastery people, and they're like, what are you trying to learn? And I'm like, client acquisition. They're like, we teach that. So they take $10,000 from me, and I go, and like client acquisition was just like 20 minutes of like a 5-day event. But the 5-day event opened my eyes to what we do for our ads and our clients now, which is revenue optimization. I didn't understand numbers. I didn't understand data. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't even know what I was looking for. So I saw that and I was like, okay, well then if every month, if I need consistent amount of leads in order to optimize my business the right way, I can't use content because I have no control over the top of my funnel. And if the top of the funnel fails, the whole funnel will wither. So I said, okay, I've got to get into paid ads. And I got into a masterclass for running paid ads. And then that's when I really dove into Tony, because I was like, when you start running paid ads, you better be working on your mindset, because this shit will chip away at you very fast. And that was it. I mean, like what, 10 events later? 10 events. Yeah, I mean, everything. Yeah, everything.
How has that changed your network and the people that you're around being a part of Tony's group? Do you feel like do you meet a lot of people through that? That was one of the things that has made me interested in a little bit.
You can. I don't utilize it like that enough. I go because I am my own worst enemy, and I want to be better, but like whatever it is, autism, ADD, whatever spectrum you're on, you get distracted and it's hard to stick with stuff. And like I found going to Tony and like actually doing what he teaches and using it in my daily life has led to me being able to achieve more, dream for more, and get a better visual clarity over what I want out of my life. That has allowed me to do that same thing for my clients, that I think is equally as important as helping someone make 6 figures. Most people think they make 6 figures, they'll be happy. They're not. I give business, I teach business, but like a lot of it's mindset, a lot of it's believing in yourself, a lot of it's having the right systems to stay accountable long-term. So I haven't met a lot of people, but I will say revenue wise, on any event I've gone to, I could probably point to a 20 to 30x return I've gotten from it.
Man,
There's not one that I've gone to and I was like, oh, I lost money. Every single one, I'm like, fucking yes, this is brilliant. Like, yeah,
it does. That whole crowd is crazy, dude. Whenever we went to Vegas and met with Hermosi, it felt like there was a similar just the Hermosi, Brunson, Tony Robbins, the communities and the focus on just like maximal impact of everybody's business. Just like, what can we do? What are you doing? How do we fix it? Ruthlessly cutting things out and adding the right things in a way that's like, I have never seen it before until this year. Whenever I went to Vegas, I've never been a part of info product space at all. Just e-commerce and like SaaS, and
Mhm.
now with school I'm learning about it, and it's new to me. Like the only thing I knew about Tony Robbins before this year was that I'd seen the documentary, which was awesome, like the
Yeah, the Not Your
um
Guru.
Not Your Guru documentary.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him in podcasts like Chris Williams. I saw he was on Chris Williamson or something this week, and I was
Mhm.
gonna watch him because he's always just spoken
I'll say this.
magical
He's
things.
kind of you got to realize his business model is straightforward. He speaks magical things and it's great to hear. But when you pay him $10,000, the stuff he gives you isn't like feel good. It's like, oh man, I'll fucking dominate my genre with this. Like, this is like, I will say, by the time I came out of the business mastery seminar, if I had no track record, I 100% could have built the same company I'm building right now. But what's interesting, you asked about the people there. There are multiple types of people there, but I only focus on one type. The most common person there, I don't mean this to sound rude, they use Tony events as a little vacation to trick themselves into thinking they're becoming a better person.
Mm.
These are the people that consider themselves life coaches, but their lives are fucking insane. That's just who they are. And you can see Tony knows this too. Because Tony will be like, what do you do? And they'll be like, I'm a life coach. And he'll be like, okay, how's that going? And they'll be like, my husband's leaving me. And it's like, you see it. You see it. There's a lot of people who they have bought a ticket to solve their therapy. It doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. Those people come all the time. They do the raw, they do the cheer, they do the chants, and they go home and they're sadder than when they came, right? So that's like a huge person. The next type of person is the person who's like trying to trying to like start living their life, trying to be bigger and like trying to change, but they're not sold on themselves. And they're just like sitting there quietly taking it all in. They're not playing full out. Like they're just kind of guarded. And then the third person you see is who I focus on. And the biggest lesson for me, and these are the people that they're quiet, they're shy, they play full out and they dream big, but they're not worried about indicating to people that they're a certain person. They're not worried about showing everyone like, ooh, I'm in mindset. They work on what they're supposed to do. I have seen multiple people in the different business courses. They were there the first year and their business just cracked $1 million. The next year they come back, they implemented what we learned and they're at like 140. Those are the people that I'm always focusing on because same with, he has a course called RPM, which is his productivity organization life plan thing. And it's all about, if you know what you want out of life, if you know what your goals are, your real goals, then everything you do in your day should be in pursuit of those goals. And everything else should fuck right off. Everything else shouldn't even be there. I believe in this and I live this. Like if my goal is to increase my revenue this month by $10,000, and then someone asked, my wife asked, can you pick up the dry cleaning? She doesn't even ask now because she knows what my answer will be. I will hire someone to pick up the dry cleaning because it is not something I can even fuck with the goal that I have. Well, with RPM, to see every single person go in, and I work with people every single day on their goals. No one's ever thought through what they want. No one has any clue what they're doing this for. They think they'll feel a certain way after it. They won't. The people who can figure out why they're doing things, then start taking the right actions. I've seen this in my own life, in my own business, where once I came up with, this is like, my goal was literally, I want to make $100,000 a month from 2 hours of work a week. Most people would be stressed by that. The truth is once you understand that's your goal, there's really only a few business models that can lead you there. It's actually easier than anything. It's like, I can't do mentorships because it'll take all my time. I can't do content because it takes all my time. I can't do consulting. It takes all my time. I can't service clients. It takes all my time. Inner Circle is an hour on Monday, an hour on Friday, and there's no theoretical limit and there is zero operating carry for everyone who comes on. Okay. So if I can scale that to 1,000 people at $99 with a $1 upsell for a CRM that keeps them hooked in using it, is that a possible business model? It's like, yeah, absolutely. So I walk around, people will be like, Sawyer, you're always working with your goal. And I'm like, oh, well, I started a new business and I want to get $100,000 a month from that business. And they're like, you already have one of those. I'm like, no, but that's the goal for this business. And they're like, you should just enjoy life. You shouldn't dream so big. And I'm like, you don't understand that it's easy. Because I actually decided the hard thing, it dictated what has to happen. And it's like, well, that also means if I only want 2 hours of work a week, all of the middle content, all of the actions that are procured every time you make a sale, all of the customer support, all of the community management and manipulation, all of the course adding and media content, that has to be outsourced. That has to be done by someone else. Otherwise, my business model erodes. So some people will be like, well, I have to do those things. It's like, you do not. You want to do those things because you're a control freak. But like, so anyway, I'm a huge fan, but I also will say you get out what you put in. And it's also kind of understanding that like we're like a poorly made wheel. We're not round at all. And in our brain, we're constantly trying to round ourselves out. But every time you focus on where you're not round, somewhere else atrophies. So like the Unleash the Power Within seminar he does, I go every 3 months just because like it's a goal that I'll be working on the rest of my life, more so than like a transformational weekend I had and now I'm changed. I'm like, I always go back and I rework my plan and I relook at my relationships, and it's pretty cool. I mean, the best thing about it is he's like in his late 60s. People won't realize that they should have gone before until he stops doing them. And they're going to be like, oh, it must have been so cool to learn from Tony. And it's like, you can buy his DVD and it's like, that's not the same. It's like, you're absolutely right. It's not the same. So that's why I do every event now is he's proven himself to me. Like anything he has to teach, I will gladly learn. And like, honestly, the thing is it's crazy how in all my mentorship sessions, people come in for money, and with a little digging, it's always a mindset issue. It's always an operator error. And it's like, he's given me the tools to be able to help my clients overcome that without them having to go spend $10,000. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
How do you, this is awesome. How do you think about like, you've got these 3 variables that are like your goals. You have the 100,000 a month goal. You have the time that you want to spend, which is a few hours a day or a week. And then you have the time that it takes in this period that you're in to get there, which might be high, like 8 to 10, this temporary, this sacrifice. How do you, if your goal is 2 hours to spend more time, you know, with family and have this balance, how are you able to make this sacrifice? What like keeps you going, and how long can you do that and withstand that?
It's the opposite. I don't need motivation. So I said I want to make 100K from only having to work 2 hours a day. Everything. So at the top of the goals and desires hierarchy, I have one, and I call it my why. It is why I do everything I do. And that is so I can do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, for however long I want, with no one but God to tell me no. That is it. That unfortunately requires money and requires a certain business structure, but that is my why. I love life. I'm deadly afraid of losing it. So I will never give someone my fucking time if I don't want to. But the backside of that agreement is I will most likely work forever, every moment of my entire life, to not have to ever give it away. I'm fine with that. So like, I love working. Like we said in the beginning of this, I see it like a video game. I'm just tinkering with it. I'm just messing with my build. But like for me, a perfect week is to take my mom, my wife, my son, and my grandma to Atlantis Casino in the Bahamas, and everyone play in the pool and gamble at night while I sit uninterrupted on my computer working on my community. That's my dream. So like, because of that, I realize it's actually the opposite. It's not how long can I do this until I can't anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
my ability to do this means that I never have to do the thing I really don't want.
Mm.
Because like I moved to LA at 19 and I became a YouTuber at 20. I never had another job. I never learned other things. So when YouTube went away, it was like what the fuck do you do now?
Mm.
And learning paid ads, learning automations, learning sales funnels and offers and Ascension, it's given me kind of a thing where I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to go to the Bahamas. I want to sit at a bar and I want to meet another business owner who's trying to scale his own business and be like, well, I
Mm.
give you a few of my systems and you pay for me to stay here another 6 months. Like,
Mm. It really is like I think of my the people I grew up with. There's like the mechanic guy on our block who was always like working on his cars, just like
yeah,
at all hours of all the
yeah,
time. And in our era, like I feel like we are the tinkerers. I feel very similarly.
yeah,
Like I do think sometimes I put this ideal out there, like I want to have more time with family, and I think what I really want is my family to be more integrated into what I like doing, which is
yeah,
this. This is my tinkering. I'm like, come.
yeah.
So sometimes my daughter, who's like, 2.5 now, she'll come down. I was a bit protective over her and technology, and still am to a lot of degrees. But if I'm in a meeting now, like with a friend or with some like this, like if she comes down, it I'm starting to feel like she should be a part. It's like this is
Yeah.
Sawyer, and
Yeah, hey,
because this is the tinkering. It's like what I
yeah.
like. I like building these systems too, and
This
I've
is
been
the fruits of the work. This is why you do it.
yeah,
It's like I
yeah.
try to tell photographers and videographers every day as I work with them. I'm like, you guys see yourself as photographers and videographers. I'm a business owner and I help other business owners make more money. And I do that through photography and videography. But mentally, it's like I'm not for hire. Like I can offer you
Mm-hmm.
my services if I want. I cannot if I want. But like exactly what you said, it's like if someone said, what is it worth for you to be able to make as much money as you want with no theoretical limit? You can spend every moment of your time in pursuit of that, and you can do it from anywhere, and your family can be right near you, and you can say hi to them all the time. Like, what is that worth to you? It's like everything.
Mm-hmm.
That is rich to me. I have control over my time.
Mm,
That's it. And it's like,
yeah.
unfortunately, it's like I have to ask myself, like, I have a bigger goal financially than 100 grand a month. I have like a lump sum goal that's larger. But like I ask myself, what income level would allow me to be able to live that life I explained without fear of it running out, with ability to still save some like you have a normal job,
Mm-hmm.
and to not have to think about money as a constant crutch. And it's like $100,000 a month, probably pretty close. It's like you can, if it's coming from ads, it means I can continually up my ad spend by 20% every month forever without it coming
Mm-hmm.
out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I theoretically will only spend 50 of it, and then I have like, another 20. It's like, yeah, dude, it's like that's the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Anything more than that, now you're gonna have money managers. Now you're gonna have meetings with I don't want that shit. I don't want
Mm,
people telling me what to do with my time. Just
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that is the caveat of making more than that is the added
comes
complexity
with a
just
lot.
comes is so
Yeah,
much harder.
yeah. It's like
It's true with anything.
yeah, you make 100 grand a month. You have a nice house. You have a nice car. Terrific. You make 10 million a month. Now you have multiple houses. Your cars are so expensive you don't want to park them anywhere. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, who needs all that?
Yeah.
It's like I just think of us like what I think I really enjoy though is the careers and skill set you and I have chosen to kind of embark on is like modern day alchemy. We
Mm,
can actually turn air into money
yeah.
predictably for all sorts of products. Like that
Yeah.
shouldn't even be legal.
It's things are moving so fast too, man. Like the things that you can do at the speeds that you can do them, it's just breaking my whole, like every day. I mean, I don't know how closely you're following, like, what is it called? You're following like how the AI tools are
Oh
developing,
yeah.
and
Jesus.
holy shit, dude. I built an app the other day. I started to build an app the other day. I came from software. Just let me show you this, dude. This is
Really?
1 hour. This is 1 hour. I spent 1 hour. This is every single. This is prompt based
Wow.
only. I connected this to my database
No
software
way.
and to GitHub, and this shit has
Wow.
like. This is just going to be for my community, and it has working authentication. Like all
Wow.
this gets stored for the user. So let's see. Here, let me log in to show you. I did this in 1 hour. You sign up. Let's see. Yeah, sign in, not sign up, sign in. Boom. This
Wow.
dashboard
Yeah.
works. This is like you could log a test,
Yeah.
drop a
It's like
screenshot,
built, it's
watch a
built on like
tutorial.
it's like built with like Notion wireframes.
It's it's unbelievable,
Yeah,
dude.
wow.
And like I'm the more that I'm finding like ways
Mhm.
to make things, the more that
Mhm.
I just keep playing. It's just like it never it's like
You're,
a never ending playground, dude, of just
so
like what can we do next?
I
I
I
mean,
I have over 2,000 YouTube videos and hundreds and hundreds of business emails and posts I've written in captions.
mhm,
I trained a chat GPT on everything I've ever said or written in my community, in my YouTube, in my writings, in everything. So I created this assistant. So now in the morning, I'll basically say like, hey, so I want to create a post for my community today. I want to inform
mhm,
them of this up and coming thing. I think it should be really inspiring. It should be rooted into maybe the fear of not being enough and that being reflected in your ability to ask for higher rates. I want people to feel
mm,
inspired by the time they read it that they can break through this. And we should end with a call to action for our inner circle October offer. It'll write it out in my words exactly. And then
yeah,
I will put it in my chat. I'll post my thing, and then I'll be like, "Cool! I now need a short form email version of this, where no block of text is too dense that it's overwhelming to read. It should have fun
mm,
emojis. It should give the idea of it, but it should really incentivize people to click to the post to add to the community."
mm.
Done. I mean, it takes me like 10 minutes in the morning to do all my community upkeeps and stuff. And like the
Dude,
great thing is when I ask it to create me 8 ways photographers can make more money, it doesn't reference YouTube. It doesn't reference Google. It references what I said.
mm,
So it's not, I don't have to worry about it being generic. I just don't have to constantly remember everything I've ever taught in my 14 years. I can just be like,
uh-huh.
hey, what is my new client onboarding system? And it'll be like, this is your new client onboarding system. I'm like, cool, make me a wireframe and send it to Ross. And it's like, done. Awesome.
So when you made the knowledge for this, did you take all the transcripts
I
and
did
pull
it
them
like
all into?
I literally downloaded my entire YouTube playlist. I put each one into Premiere. I pulled the transcripts and I said to ChatGPT, it took me 2 days. I said, I have 1,294 videos. I want to walk you through the transcripts of each and every one. I want you to bullet point it so that I can say yes or no. And then I want you to remember it for all future references of us speaking together in this one instance of my ChatGPT. And then I just went and I said, I don't want you to comment. I don't want you to say anything. I want you to just say, got it next. And it would be like, got it next. I'd send the next one and be like, got it next. And I just went through.
Wow,
Mhm.
dude.
I screenshotted all of my business because like I mean I've worked for 97 of the top 100 brands. So all of my negotiations, like I'm quite intense negotiator. I took all of my threads of email and some of them were like 83 to 100 messages deep. And I highlighted in blue mine, I highlighted in yellow the responses, and I put the images into Chat GPT and I asked it to learn how I negotiate and like pull all these things. So now like one of my clients was like, I have a client who's asking for a contract. I don't have a contract. What should I do? I was like, hey, send me all the details of you and the client and the deal. And they texted to me. I asked ChatGPT, can you reference one of my professional contracts from the last 12 months, input it with this data and take out anything that's irrelevant? clicked it back. I said, can you make this an editable file so they can actually change it? Boom, done. Just sent it off. My client's like, fucking thank you.
My God, dude.
Crazy. It's crazy.
That's just, it changes kind of the throughput of every single system that you make for everything in a way that I can't wrap my head around yet, but it's just, it does make you feel like I whatever you used to be reaching for, it has to be 10 times larger because of that.
Yeah.
So,
and just a simple thing from me, you've got to use push to speak. And I talk to it like an assistant. I'll be like, what's the purpose of this? And it'll say it. And I'll be like, I don't like that. It needs to be more like this. So rewrite the whole thing with that in mind, but keep everything else the same. It'll come back and I'll be like, I told you not to fucking change anything. And it'll be like, oh, and I'll be like, great. I like this. Please remember this template for all future instances of this. And I just constantly talking back and forth.
So at this time, it's what? It's GPT 4.0. Is that what you're using? Are you using the Pro? 4.0? Because 4.0 has the memory. I don't think the Pro has the memory, but
I like it simple. I don't want it. I don't like most of the time you'll catch me saying to Chat GPT, stop fucking saying this like a robot and say it like one friend messaging another who haven't seen each other in a long while. Like I'll even go so far as like when I write motivational posts in my name or in my words, I'll write the whole post. And then so one of the perks of being in Tony's, one of the programs I'm in is I have Tony Robbins AI where I can just ask Tony. And I'll give it my script and be like, how would Tony say this to a client? And he'll write it out. I'm like, that is fucking good. And I'll take that back to Chat GPT and I'll be like, can you make this less Tony and more me? And then it rewrites it in my voice. And I'm like, this is dope.
Shoot, dude. So you go from
all different. I'm like,
input to Tony to Sawyer conversion is
from Sawyer to Tony back to Sawyer.
Yeah. So you have Tony as an influence. Do you have any other writing or style guide influences for outputting things with GPT?
What do you mean? Like actual tools or influences?
Like for me, I often say like, write this like Dan Coe or Jason Fried. I'll actually give it some direction.
I haven't done that yet. I probably will. The thing is I'm odd in sales where I don't actually try and sell people much because I have so many ways I can service them that I let them tell me what they need. So I try and think of my free community and all of my platforms as a holding place that you can stay indefinitely until you find something right for you. So I actually I've experimented with write this like Alex Hermosi, and it comes back of like what they think Alex would say. And I know Alex is the same where he'd be like, I wouldn't fucking say that. That sounds salesy. It's like, So it's there, but I could probably try it more. I think for me, it's pretty important. I've tried to. So in early social media days, everyone was trying to figure out how to keep up with people and get ahead so they would batch film content. But when you bulk film content, all of the emotion gets immediately drained out of it because it's not a real moment. It's just a manufactured moment. It will erode client relationship within a community instantly. So I'm very careful never to use Chat GPT as a crutch and more of a discovery tool to see if it can give me a new perspective on what I was already doing.
Yeah. I love that, dude.
I'm aware because if everyone starts saying, write me an Alex Hermosi post, it's like now I have the same product as like a 17-year-old kid out of high school. It's like, I can't do that. So.
Yeah. I have this process where I'll open a couple Chat GPT instances at the same time, and I'll have one that's dedicated to my voice and I'll have one that's dedicated to ideas. And so I'll lead with the same prompt. It'll be like, this is all the data. I went on a 10-minute walk. I'm basically trying to figure out how to brand this app. This is what I did the other day when I was making this thing. I was like, I did this all in like a couple hours. It was kind of like I went on a walk, thought of the brand, the feelings, and I talked for 10 minutes on my phone and got back. And this chunk was kind of the seed. And so it was kind of like on one channel, it was kind of exploring a lot of the people that inspire me,
Yeah.
like what they would do with this information, like how would they inspire me with this. And then the other one was like me trying to refine it with my voice only, and I
Yeah.
found that to be like something that I've landed on naturally. So I'll do like Ram Dass, Terrence McKenna, and I'll do kind of like the spiritual gurus mixed with kind of like
Ooh,
the copywriters, and I'll do
interesting.
this. And what I'll do, what the way that I like to do it is like on that side, on the inspiration side, I'll just see like a phrase or a word and it'll like hit me, I'll be like, oh, and then I'll
I like
I'll
that.
write,
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
help me think through and like
Huh.
write something in my own way. And
Yeah.
GPT's just kind of, it's changed the process of thinking in this funny way, I feel like, for everybody, where
Yeah.
they have their own little snowflake way of
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I mean, you're absolutely right. I absolutely love it. Like I do a thing I call black and white with it. And so let's take your school about page and it says, join today and get 20% off. If you unlock now, you get this, you get this, you get this. We've helped 100 people get X result without Y pain points. Join now in X urgency to get whatever offer. So like that's what it says. I will take that and I'll say, rewrite this as if they already have the solution and they're experiencing the rewards of having invested in it. And now it'll be like, how does it feel to have gone through? And
Mm,
I will take, cause I like writing. I wrote even my feature film. Like I write, that's what I like doing. So like,
mhm.
I like taking a skill that I value, my writing, and put it in and go like, show me the exact opposite of this. Like another great example is like the other day I saw something where someone asked ChatGPT, if you were the devil, how would you keep good people from finding success? And it was like, these are the 10 ways. It's like, I would elicit self-doubt. I would paralyze them with overthinking. I would make them compare themselves to everyone. Like, great shit, right? Great shit. So
Mhm.
then I asked it, I said, okay, what would someone have to do to be able to overcome these antics from the devil? And it said, like, do this, do this, do this. And I was like, what are the negatives of not doing those things? And I'd be like, this. I'm like, what's the opposite? What would an angel do to help? And it would do. And then I'd ask it, okay. And this is something I actually did. I said, all right, every instance of this we've worked on, I want you to recall. What I'm looking for is I struggle with these 10 steps. These are something I go through in my daily life. I want you to create me a short, memorizable mantra that encompasses every single one of these 10 steps without leaving one out, but can be memorized in under 30 seconds. And then it'll write it. And then I'll be like, I need it to be stronger. I want to memorize these until they're in my bones so that I radiate positivity and I am free from the self, blah, blah, blah. Enhance it, enhance it. And then I'll literally be like, write me 10 instances of this, each one 100 times stronger than the one previous. And then the one
Dude,
I end up in, I'll literally be like, so what's the best way to memorize this? And it'll be like, chunk it up and learn it over days. I'm like, create me a schedule and an outlined plan so I can do so. It's done.
that is you're such a visionary GPT user, I gotta say.
I don't know about that.
That like it.
I've always wished I had me to like dictate shit too, but I didn't have to do it. And like I got that.
Hmm.
I got that.
It's for people that have this vision like you have, that you've developed, that you know what you want to make. You just have these incredible use cases.
No,
That
thanks.
is
Yeah, I
something
love the
else.
damn
Never
thing. I'm
heard
like,
that.
I ask it all the time. I'm like, like it's like, yeah, you can use it for anything. I mean, you could be like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's this advanced, but like, I'm hoping at a place it can help you understand complex things. So like, this is a funny one that I'll say for comedic relief, but like, it's true. I believe you get what you negotiate. I really value negotiation. I think with open communication and the right sales skills, anything is possible. Those are skills that I work to polish all the time. So I was with one of my best friends playing golf, and one of our friends was like, "Hey, we've got a tee time next weekend at this really exclusive course. Can we go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure I'll go." And my friend was like, "How can you say you'll go? You have a wife at home. You haven't even asked her yet." And I was like, "Well, can you go?" He's like, "My wife will never." let me go on that trip. I'm playing right now with you assholes. So I was like, okay, well, you get what you negotiate. He's like, no, you don't. Sometimes you just have to be a good husband. And I was like, fuck this guy. So I pick up my phone and I call my wife. It rings. She goes, hello. I go, hey, sweetheart, I have a question for you. She's like, okay. I was like, I know I'm playing golf right now. I know you're probably at home doing things. I have a question for you. If I were to hypothetically want to play golf next Saturday as well, what would I have to do this week in order for this not to be something you want me to do, but something you are absolutely excited for me to do? What would I have to do to make this a no-brainer yes? And she was like, I guess if you watched Atlas and let me go to the girls' book club and got me dinner from the sushi place I like, that would be fine. I was like, sold. Hung up the phone. I looked at I was like, you're not golfing, bitch. I want ChatGPT to be able to cognitively reason things like that because it can't. It can't do that yet. If you're like, I want to play golf next week. My wife, I don't think she'll let me. What should I do? It's going to be like, here's relationship management tools. No, that's not what I fucking asked you. I asked you to solve a problem. I'm always thinking like that because people don't want information. That's what ChatGPT hasn't figured out yet. They don't want information. They want results. I think when it makes that turn and it can bypass information in order to find the best course for results, we're going to be using it even more. I'm like waiting for that. When you can ask it like, because I do things all the time. I'll be like, I use examples for photographers and videographers all the time because I don't like excuses. I don't like anyone's excuse. You should start from wherever you are and fuck your sad story. Don't care. Do care, but I don't have time to care. So like most of the people who find me are like, well, how do I find more customers? And I'm like, what do you mean? How do you find more customers? Like a customer at a time. And they're like, yeah, easy for you to, whatever. They got some story. If you ask ChatGPT, and this is a great use case, if you ask ChatGPT, hey, how do I find more customers in photography? It'll be like, try cold outreach. It'll be like, try this, try that, try this, try that. It'll go through the same things in YouTube tutorials. But if you say, okay, I am a starting photographer. I have never been paid for my craft ever in my life. It is 4:30 p.m. on Friday. And I have been told if I cannot get my first paying client by 7 p.m. tonight, my entire family will be murdered in front of me. That is obviously not the outcome I want, and I will do almost anything to avoid it. How can I get a customer by 7 o'clock? It'll be like, call the people in your phone. It's like, that's the right fucking answer. That is the right answer. Or one at a time. Just find one person. Stop trying to deal with the problem of how do I get clients. That is a different problem than getting one client. As soon as ChatGPT fully understands the difference between how do I get clients and how do I get a client now, I guarantee. I mean, I've already started. I've already started trying to figure out, because I don't want to release an inferior product and it be wrong, because it's people's careers. But I have already started trying to figure out how can I take this Sawyer GPT I created for myself and make that a tool I can offer my inner circle community for free. Yeah. So that they don't have to wait to ask me questions every week. They have something they can ask. I just have to make sure it's right.
I am doing the same thing, and I would do what I'm doing to do that.
I will. You better tell me.
I would use I mean, bro, like I would use Lovable, which is the tool I'm using to make the SaaS app. It creates a React app. You can authenticate it right away. Really? You could gate it so people in your community are the only ones to use it. I'm not joking, dude. I made a newsletter app that took me 8 hours, and like to connect OpenAI, it took me like 2 minutes. And it understands the documentation. I was like, wow. I need you to connect OpenAI so that I can record an audio into this app that can then be translated to text, and we could capture that information into the database. We're going to database all this information so that we can make a table out of it, which will later. And it's just like, got you. For sure. Got you. We're going to throw it in there. It's like, I would do it there because then you can see how people are using it, which will influence that, because you can't do that with GPT.
You got to be able to train it over time. It's got to be able to be reiterated. Yeah, for sure.
The custom GPT is so fast and efficient to create and set up to use right away to get value out of it yourself right away. But it's like it's not something you can roll out to anybody because you
No,
can't understand user
no.
behavior at all. So you
Yeah, and
can't
it doesn't know
gate it.
nuances yet. It's like all of a sudden they
Yeah.
ask a question that I haven't answered before, and it tries to extrapolate an answer from my other answers. You don't want that either.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
mean,
how do I spend $100 million and you never got to it? And it's like $10 at a time. It's like, no, that's not right. Don't do that. That'd be crazy. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Hmm.
Dude, it's kind of a wild west. There's other tools like Cursor that also do what Lovable does.
Hmm.
That a lot of people prefer. Lovable's a bit faster and it has a database connection. And if you don't have a database connection like Supabase, like if people are recording all these audio
Oh yeah,
things and you're building these giant profiles where there's trees of data connected to each
yeah.
other,
That's gonna
like
be chunky.
it's harder on the anyways, there's all these tools popping up that are making it easier to make SaaS
Yeah,
MVPs right now that are like it's so early that it's definitely the right time to get in there and make stuff. Just to
yeah.
like I was watching the space for a while. There's this one video I watched on YouTube. It's like 45 minutes long. I'll send it to you. And it's
Mhm.
a guy in a 45-minute period that like he's in a podcast kind of casual and then they just open the app and they make something together. They create
Oh yeah, I think I've seen
authentication.
one of those. It's nuts.
And I'm like, I could do this right now. He like
Yeah,
for some reason it took me a couple weeks to start playing with it and I wanted to, but as soon as I started to play with it, I was like, this is what I have to dedicate
yeah.
some amount of time to.
So I own an app called Film Frames in the iOS App Store. It's a photography app, and I didn't code it. I created the idea, and my someone in India coded it. My friend sourced it, and then the
Yeah.
coder failed like
Oh,
at iOS 16. So when iOS 17 came out, it went down, and it was just unworking like for like a month. And we were going to pull the funding, we were going to pull everything and just cancel it. And then one day I was like, I had saw an Instagram reel about like some coding AI, and I
mm-hmm.
went and it was like a coding GPT, and I was like, here's my build for iOS 16, please make it compliant for iOS 18. And it was like, here you go. And we uploaded it and it fucking worked. And I was like, holy shit, it's like 60 grand
Dude,
right there. Just like, I was like,
unbelievable,
oh,
right?
God. And my coding friend was like, how did you do that? I was like, AI. And he was like, fuck AI. I was like, you're just going to be out of a job. That's all.
Yeah, dude.
You didn't want to try it, but it worked.
That happens. That's similar to what happened to me. Like it's like product managers, the
Yeah.
people that have the vision and all the like we know how we want everything to kind of be
Yeah.
like presented and containerized. It's like you need less of the developer to
Yeah.
get the product to market than
Absolutely.
ever.
I would,
And
I'd like be making fucking PDFs of like with arrows, like change this to this and this. And then my friend would be like, the developers get overwhelmed. I'm like, dude, fuck them. If I could do this, I'd be doing it myself, man. Like it is probably the most right industry for transformation with AI out of anything is the coding space.
yeah,
Because coders suck, and they use their own language. The language they use is basically slang, and then you can't find anyone else to interpret it. It's like you are getting out of a job quicker than anybody.
yeah. It's the best case scenario is like when these developers and these product managers build the tool that just is a middleware for like you want to make a React app or you want to make an iOS app and it's just all the documentation is loaded in and they're like give me your input, you can drop screenshots, we will link everything, we will comment everything, we watch for continuity, you can refactor like I'm like refactoring my app like it actually tell me as I'm building it, it'll be like, hey, your dashboard file's like getting a bit long. It's a couple hundred lines. Like, do you want me to refactor that? I'm like, yes. And I'm like, cool. And then it'll be like thinking through new structure based on all the new stuff you put in there. It's like, cool. We refactored it. You can keep going now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, that was like a week. That like I used to be on the.
Is how like if someone has like a diseased organ or whatever, they can put like an ink injection in and they can trace where it goes. I do want an AI where I could maybe tell AI TonyRobbins.com and it will opt in and follow and then give me a wireframe of their structure of their funnel. That I would pay a lot of money for. If I could click a button and visually see the wireframe of your whole thing, that's
Mm-hmm.
all I would do all day. Like that would
You
be
just funnel
just
hack all
funnel
day.
hack. Yeah, but like not even funnel hack. It's like funnel jack. I'm like, oh,
Funnel jack.
I'm gonna take this new
Yeah,
client acquisition cycle and plug that into mine. I'm going to take your retargeting campaign, plug it into mine. It's like just building all the cart at that point.
dude,
That'd be awesome.
it is amazing stuff.
Great.
We should reconnect again. I know you
Like,
got a
every
thing
time I
coming
have
up.
yeah.
Respect your time. But
Thank
dude, it's so fun.
dude.
We'll
This is
have
great.
to keep kicking it, and I'm gonna help
I
you
know.
like move into retargeting because
Please. That's all I
it's
want.
the easiest hang up
Oh
to
yeah.
overcome of any of the hang ups
Oh
that
yeah,
you'll
dude.
have.
I'm fine taking a wash on revenue for a year. I just want to keep
Yeah.
doubling down on school is where it's at, man. We just got to keep running with it.
Yeah. School is such a great home base, man. It's like my favorite. It's my favorite, like one place to rule them all, to meet all the
Mhm.
people that I'm working with, to have
Yeah.
all of my customers, to
Yeah.
present all. It's so nice. I love
Yeah.
it
Let
too.
them deal with the back end. I don't want Kajabi or any of that shit.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the school people.
Me too.
I'm a Sam Ovens. I've become a convert since
Yeah.
using school,
I was
and
gonna say I'm a Goose
yeah,
convert. Goose is always the one helping me.
dude, Goose is legit. He's so fun.
That'd be
I
great.
was talking to him. I got on a random call with him yesterday. He's like such a vibe, dude. He's
Yeah.
riding around in LA. He's like a
Yeah.
rainbow colored Tesla,
Yeah.
like just like a colorful robe and like walking into Target. I just feel like there's no one like Goose. He's
I
such
did
a
a podcast
character.
with him, and I don't know how he found out. He was like, "Do you go to Disney World by yourself to work on a laptop?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he was like, "Would you ever be okay with me flying to Disney and meeting up and doing a video about you doing that?" And I was like, "Sure." And he was like, "Cool, we're gonna do it at the end of January." I was like, "All right, Goose. Like,
Dude.
I'll be at Starbucks." Like,
I love this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's all well, good people,
shoot,
good
man.
platform, man. We got to keep this going sometime.
Yeah, it was so fun,
Right.
man. I'll hit you in the DMs and
Cool. Sounds good,
appreciate you
brother.
for
Thanks
showing
having
up.
me. And thanks for the tips. I'm gonna implement that next week. I'm gonna have retargeting up by this time next week.
Dude, I can't wait to see it. I'm sure
All
you'll
right.
crush it with your
Well, good.
audience.
I'm gonna be sending you screenshots, my man. So you better help out.
Right this way, baby. Come on.
All
Bring
right,
it on,
brother.
Sawyer.
I'll see you
Next
soon.
time.
All
Thank
right.
you. Over and out, everybody.
Over and out. Cool. We're gonna do it at the end of January. I was like, "All right, Goose. Like,
Dude.
I'll be at Starbucks." Like,
I love this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's all well, good people,
shoot,
good
man.
platform, man. We got to keep this going sometime.
Yeah, it was so fun,
Right.
man. I'll hit you in the DMs and
Cool. Sounds good,
appreciate
brother.
you for
Thanks
showing
having
up.
me. And thanks for the tips. I'm gonna implement that next week. I'm gonna have retargeting up by this time next week.
Dude, I can't wait to see it. I'm sure
All
you'll
right.
crush it with your
Well, good.
audience.
I'm gonna be sending you screenshots, my man. So you better help out.
Right this way, baby. Come on.
All
Bring
right,
it on,
brother.
Sawyer.
I'll see you
Next
soon.
time.
All
Thank
right.
you. Over and out, everybody.
Over and out.